You're in tune to FocusTalk, the thought-provoking, solution-oriented talk show daring to make a difference in our communities. We're talking on a regular basis because the answers really matter. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about politics, religion, personal development, education, history, music, and then from time to time, we are spotlighting positive people who are doing positive things right here in the Inglewood community, throughout the Chicagoland area, as well as the entire United States. I'm your host, Dennis Snipe. Joining me in the studio today is Mr. Sel Dunlap. Mr. Dunlap, how are you?
All right, Matt. Thank you.
Good to have you on the show again and to talk about the things that you are doing in the community. What are you working on now?
I'm trying to clean up our communities to make them look as sharp as your shirt looks.
Well, that's all right. All right.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Dunlap, I know that you have been working primarily on the west side of the city. However, you have begun to spread out on a regular basis. So tell me some of the things that you're doing in other parts of the city.
Well, I claim credit for the parkway in front of Jules there at 87th and Lafayette there at the Dan Ryan.
Yes.
For being as clean as it is as a result of me taking pictures for 3 years. And in that third year, I decided to send those pictures to the corporate headquarters. And I challenged them on the disrespect that they were showing our community, the irresponsibility that they were showing for the other tenants who were in that development by allowing all that trash, garbage, and debris to be out there greeting folk as they would pull up into the parking lot. And I challenged them on not living up to their corporate image. And it had the big neon sign up top and all this garbage and debris that was down on the ground. Well, that led to them cleaning that up. I did that by myself. I don't boast about that, but I'm just saying this was just one person taking some action. Multiplied several times, we can have a tremendous impact on our community, give it the type of appearance and essence that is needed for our children to grow in their self-respect and self-esteem, that which will encourage property values, economic development. It's a winning proposition all the way around. Since we met the first time on your show here, we had a major cleanup on 79th in front of the Salam, in back of the Salam, the two streets flanking the Salam, Emerald and Union, joined in the 7800 block and the 7900 block, and it resulted in a collection of debris and garbage that everybody was just amazed that all of that was surrounding that institution. And we got tremendous compliments from the superintendent of street and sanitation, Mr. Charles Williams. We have engaged in some things over east that I think has resulted in more of a positive image and encouraging residents to do what we can, which oftentimes doesn't really cost money, just some time to get out there and pick up the trash and debris. But Brother Snipes, beyond that, our message, our effort is rooted in changing our mindset. It's not just picking up trash and debris. I get tired of picking up after Negroes or whoever might have thrown the trash and debris down. I want to change our mindset about the environment that we live in. I say now unapologetically that nothing matters. I mean, absolutely nothing matters, Black lives or anything else, until we realize the importance of a clean environment and how much it matters on everything that can be nourished. And of course, Black lives can be nourished as a result of being in a clean environment.
So, Mr. Dunlap, what is the response from the community and from individuals when you appear and you begin the cleanup process?
Not as positive or not as thorough as I would like. I mean, it runs the gamut. Everything from people showing animosity, being irritated, agitated as a result of this cleaning up taking place right out in front of their doors, to even comments being made about what you're doing, who told you to do that.
Well, why do you think that is? Because you would think that individuals would be happy that someone is taking pride in their community.
Well, I contend that if you live in filth long enough, it has the propensity to take up residency in you. And I believe, unfortunately, that's what has happened with so many people, that they have just become accustomed to it. It's natural, and it's just there. I supported an effort on the west side 2 weeks ago in the 4800 block of Washington Boulevard. Started at Cicero, going back west to Lamont. 4 courageous brothers met out one Saturday night, Saturday day rather, and we cleaned up the parkway, which was loaded with leaves. Just about all of the trees were naked as a result of, winter coming on. But we cleaned that up, and there were at least 30, maybe 40 bags that we had filled and had them ready for the city to pick it up. Fortunately, that following week, that block was scheduled to have its curbs cleaned. So that was a double blessing for the residents who live there. We had one family to come out to join us. I know that many of them were looking out their windows at us, and it was a very, very, very cold Saturday. Very cold Saturday. But we gave 3.5 hours of concentrating on that, and with an effort which included going back later to really pick it up. That parkway looked good, and our desire was to create an appearance that they would welcome. And as a result of the grass not growing anymore until next spring, or weeds, that particular parkway will be able to go through the winter looking good. And I went back Saturday to take another look. Quite a bit of trash and debris had collected. I took pictures of that. We're going to create a survey that will go to the residents on that block, on that side of the street, asking them, how did you feel when your block was looking as messed up as it was? Did you notice? Give them a scale, say from 1 to 5, on how badly it bothered them. And let them know that we're doing this as a way of trying to document what was the impact. Did it really matter that some strangers came and cleaned up your block? We're going to do the same thing on the north side as a way of trying to show this is the way all of our parkways should look.
Right.
And be further complemented by alleys that are clean. Aside from the sanitation workers, I know that I'm one of the only people in Chicago that drive alleys in our communities. Not only black communities, but Hispanic and white communities. I'll be doing a comparison in terms of what type of garbage and debris are in their alleys as the trash and debris that accumulate in our alleys, and it doesn't seem to bother anybody.
Mr. Dunlap, allow me to switch gears just for a moment. Now, you've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
And in addition to that, you have a show where you talk about different things. What do you talk about on your show?
Well, that was a few years ago. I had a cable access talk show in Michigan City, Indiana. And I would use that camera out in the community. Initially, I started out live, where I would invite people to call and tell me what problems they might be having with some government agency or some business, and I would call on the show and bust them with the question regarding the issue raised by one of the viewers. Well, that led to the cable access station's director changing the policy, which prevented me from doing that unless I had permission from the person that I was going to call, so that I wouldn't just surprise
them off guard, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the segments that I did, and I got a lot of pleasure out of this, and I think that the residents there thoroughly enjoyed it, was that I had a segment called Dark Moments, in which I would ask the studio staff to turn the lights down dark, real low. And I would look into the camera with a straight face, and I said, well, this is Dark Moments, folk. And I'm going to ask all of my Caucasian friends who might be watching right now to either turn your television off or turn to another station. I want to talk to my people in private. I looked down at my table as though I was fidgeting with some papers, and I looked back up at the camera. So I ain't playing with y'all. And I would cite some areas in Michigan City that were lily white, if you will. Well, I would then thank them and proceed to have a conversation with the black community as though nobody other than black folk were listening in. And of course, it was a tactic, a ploy, just to encourage folks to see what the hell is he getting ready to talk about now. And believe me, my subjects were always pretty hot, something that wasn't going to be said by anyone else. And I took pleasure in serving my God in that capacity of bringing things to the table that otherwise would just lay dormant.
How successful was it?
I think it helped me. I credit all of that experience to where I am right now. So it in that sense, I think it was extremely successful, and I know that I encouraged other folk to take advantage of that tool. I was a part of a community development corporation that vied for the cable television franchise. I realized the value of it when I saw what an economic raping we experienced out in the open, what they did to prevent us from owning that franchise. And it became crystal clear to me that being in control of what comes into your community in the way of information and being in control of what goes out of your community in the form of information was critical, extremely critical. That is what has been held on our throat since time.
So in the effort to create a cleaner community, a cleaner environment, what are some of the different things that you would like to suggest that are done?
Well, I would like for churches to buy into my concept of help Sel get the hell away from your church by allowing me to come and meet with their young folk and old folk and explain to them that we should become the church outside of the church, at least in the form of eliminating the devil of filth and fear. They're two twin demons. They feed off of each other. When you clean up, you eliminate a lot of the fear that is in our community. You eliminate a lot of the fear that even black folk have about going into other black communities because of the way it looks. It looks so intimidating. It looks as though I'm going to get you.
So should community residents be the litter police for other residents who litter?
Oh, absolutely. We have that responsibility. We owe ourselves that. We owe our children a clean environment. If we can't give them anything else, we owe them a clean environment. But in doing so, it's going to feed their everything. It's going to encourage them to become more conscious of their community, more civic-minded, more involved, particularly so when that cleansing process concept is pushed and promoted and initiated and actualized from the inside out, meaning that the cleansing starts with us in the renewing of our mind and our spirit, as Scripture tells us in Psalms 51:10.
Okay. Mr. Dunlap, unfortunately, we have ran out of time for this segment. However, please know that the door here at Focus Talk is always open. Would you be interested in coming back?
Only if you're going to interview me for 2 hours.
Well, we'll definitely keep that in mind.
Or follow me sometime when I'm out engaged in one of these projects. Brother Jonathan 2X is very much aware of that. He has documented many of the efforts that we have done in the community along these lines. Has quite a bit of footage, and I would be pleased to, in some way, be able to sponsor me coming on a regular basis to keep the community abreast of what it is I'm doing and as it relates to Sel getting the hell out of their communities.
All right, sounds good. Mr. Dunlap, thank you so very much for coming and being a guest on today's edition of Focus Talk. It's always great to see you, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you,
soon.
Doctor. I appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Dunlap.
Thank you very much.
You're in tune to Chicago's most popular college music radio station, 89.3 WKKC.
You're watching Focus Talk TV
with your host, Dennis Snipe.